Today, I'm so excited to dive into Anna's story because I know one, it's going to impact so many women. Two, you're going to straight up see like how she fits into Heal Her and just the part that she plays within this ministry. And I'm just believing like the Lord's going to set women free just from her testimony and what she's walked through because when I tell y'all, whenever I just heard like parts of it, and I'm sure there's so much more, right? There's all the details that would take ages to get into, but you would not be able to tell. Like, because the very first time what really stood out to me about her was just her joy and like her smile, and your servant heart. You truly do have such a heart to serve others, which is so beautiful. Because not everybody really has that. Like you're genuine. Like you're the type of person that you're gonna show up for somebody. If somebody is in need, needs help, you're gonna swoop in and you're gonna be that person to help and not wait for somebody else to come in. Which I love that about your heart. So what you've gone through, whenever you're telling me, I'm just like jaw dropping. I'm like, what? So let's start with, tell me a little bit about, I guess like your relationship with God growing up and what that looked like. Because I know you've talked to me a little bit about like how it's changed, but I guess let's start there. Like, what did your relationship with God look like growing up, and what was maybe like a turning point for you?
Yeah. Well, I grew up in a small town and in a Baptist church, and it was wonderful. It was the foundation of my faith still to this day. Shout out Richard Parker, my youth minister, and all of the amazing people where I grew up. And when I was 17 years old, I was at a youth conference very similar to the one that you and I went to together. And I was called to missions. God just pulled me out in the middle of service and was like, "This is for you. I'm talking to you." And Matthew 28:19 very quickly became just like the verse that shaped everything about who I am. And I never questioned what the call on my life was. I came home, I told my parents, and it was just like a really exciting time for me. My grandparents really embraced that. I went on a mission trip to Thailand my senior year in high school. I was just really on fire for God. I was excited. And fast forward a little bit, I didn't go that path. I kind of, my parents and I just kind of made the decision that I would go to Auburn first, and War Eagle always and forever. But it definitely wasn't what God had for me. And it just started what I refer to as 17 years of captivity, of just being captive to a life that I created, a person that I created, really. I had a version of myself and Anna that didn't even exist, that never had purpose.
Wow.
Right? She didn't have a call on her life, and her life was filled with all of these things, people, habits, relationships that were never supposed to be there. Right? And I think that's what a lot of people do, is we pick up these things when we're out of the will of God, and then we have to go through the mourning of losing them and letting them go. And when I finally reached my breakthrough over this summer, that's really what the Lord showed me. And so back then my faith was beautiful and it was exciting. But as soon, I literally can go back now and think about my time in Auburn and realize like that was the beginning of just being out from under the umbrella, right? Out from under the covering. And your sister said it to me over the weekend about something else, but she said we can really get outside and we're just kind of under his mercy at that point. We're not under the umbrella of his grace. We're just kind of receiving his mercy, and we're so thankful for that, right? And but as soon as I went to Auburn, and one of the biggest things that I walked through was I was kidnapped and raped the very first summer, or the very first football game of the year. I very long story short, but I was just kind of picked up and I was gone for 3 days, and that's how I lost my virginity. That's kind of how I just kind of fell into the world. And I grew up a little bit sheltered and just a little bit unaware of how important boundaries are and how important it is to really be careful and the dangers that were really out in the world. I think, as we grow, as young women grow into adults, and we're on fire for God, we can have a naive mindset. And that's one thing that I really hope to help young women with, is just being able to know that there is a difference in loving everyone, but also being smart and also having discernment and using it, stepping boldly into discernment. When you don't feel right about something, you don't go. And it doesn't matter kind of what is going on, but honestly, I can look back at that point of my life and that be where my relationship with God really took a turn. Because obviously that situation really brought about confusion. It brought about, this sacred thing that I had held all my life, and I was holding it for marriage, was stripped from me from someone that to this day I don't know who he is or what his name is. And so it really kind of catapulted me into a very unhealthy life and lifestyle.
Wow.
Yeah.
So brave to be able to share that, because I don't know the statistic, but I've heard it before, and it's super high, the amount of women who do get raped and molested. And it's so sad. It's the world we live in, unfortunately. So I just appreciate your bravery to be able to speak on it.
Yeah.
And so you said 17 years of captivity.
Yeah.
Tell me what you mean by captivity. Like, what defines the captivity that you felt? Just so maybe other women can identify if that's where they are.
Yeah. For me, what the Lord revealed to me over the summer when he kind of gave me those words was that I was captive to my own desires. I was captive to a lifestyle that was not mine, because when we're rooted in Christ, He is the vine and we are the branches, and we are rooted. But when we take ourselves off of that and we're just cut off, then we have no stability. We have no foundation. We have no pillar of truth. And so you're kind of held captive to just whatever straws you can grasp a hold of. And so I really just became a prisoner of shame and lies. One thing that he has exposed to me is the difference between sins and iniquities, right? Those iniquities are so deeply rooted. And for me, one of them, and I think in the Southern culture, this is something a lot of us struggle with, is being deceitful and having an iniquity of just dishonesty. And a lot of it comes from the way that we're raised. A lot of it comes from the mentality of wanting to appear perfect all of the time, and always wanting to, something we don't talk about in the church is that we want to kind of exemplify positivity, but oftentimes it's toxic positivity. It's not even real, right? And so when we're raising our children to be that way, we're raising them to lie. We're raising them to say, I feel sadness, but my mom says I'm not sad, or my mom says I need to act this way, or my dad says I need to buck up and I just need to get over it, or my grandmother says, buck up, buttercup. And it's just like when we do that so much and so often, and we hide behind a mask that we've created, what it does is it creates in us as adults just this innate desire that we just don't want to express as a desire to lie and to say, that tree is not green, it's brown. And we're like, why are you lying about that? For what? And then you go back and you think, I don't even know why I just told that lie. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
But just like any other thing, that one lie leads to another that leads to another. Yeah. And so in those years, I just created this toxic personality, really, that we can really get stuck in a victim mindset when we've been abused. And, I think for me, I've been able to realize that even leading up to the rape, that I had a victim mindset, that I had a mindset of kind of woe is me. And, I grew up mainly with all boys. The majority of my family that I spent a lot of time with growing up was just boys. I was the only girl. So there was just a different standard that I was held to. And I don't know what it was like for the rest of my family to look at me. I just know what it felt like from my perspective. And I just always felt under the spotlight, and I always felt like it didn't matter what I did. It wasn't enough. And it created this performance-based love. And so as I grew into adulthood, I felt like I had to perform. And if I wasn't performing, and it's funny because my original major was performing arts. And so I just really knew how to act.
Wow.
And I really knew how to do that. Are you okay? Yeah. I just really knew how to, really perform and just achieve what I wanted to achieve based on my behavior. And I thought I was good at that, but obviously all it did was put me in the wrong relationships, put me in just patterns really that were unhealthy and that, led to the rest of those 17 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's so insane. That's so insane. And there was something that you said that, what was it? Because it reminded me of this summer where you had breakthrough. I can't remember what you said that made me think about that, but it was just like a wow. Hopefully it'll come back. But tell me, how did you get out of that captivity? Like what, I know the Lord. Tell me about like the steps, like what, dirty details, like what really helped you get out of that 17 years of captivity?
Well, I really truly had to continue getting there. And I told someone this last night, like full surrender really does come when we're at rock bottom. Like we want to believe that it doesn't, but it really only comes when we've hit some kind of rock bottom, may it be financial, emotional, spiritual, whatever it is. And so for me, I just kind of walked through 2 marriages and 2 subsequent divorces, one of which was extremely abusive. The marriage itself was just, it was just bad. It was just tough. And, I say it a lot now that, there were signs, there were things that I should have paid attention to, and the Lord has restored a lot, and we've been able to work through, and I co-parent so wonderfully, especially with my first husband. But, it's something that only the Lord can do, but it also just continued to move me through darker and darker places. After my second divorce, where I really had to figure out how to get out of something that was going to lead to death. I mean, it was going to lead to my death, my children's death. Even if it wasn't physical, it was just going to be the end of us, and the end of him. If I'm being fair. And so when we did that and we separated from that, we moved to Florida. We had just like what I thought was going to be a fresh start, a new life, and it was just a year of the Lord separating us. And we talk a lot about the difference between separation and isolation. And I think we have to be careful in the church and in the Christian conversation that the Lord does not isolate us, but He will separate us. He will set us apart and move us. And so I saw in those years where He was really starting that in me. And as much as we want it to be a quick process, it just freaking is not. I mean, that was 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago. And I've just hit my breakthrough this summer, and it was just something that He was leading up to. And it kind of walked us through all of these periods of the main thing that I want to highlight in the captivity is just that one sin led to another that led to another. And all of those led to unhealthy habits and behaviors of just not having boundaries, not even knowing what boundaries were, but also not knowing who I was. And it was so frustrating. And I know that there's so many even young girls and women who can relate to this, but I went through so many years of being like, who even am I? And I remember in those years of captivity, which was for reference sake, let me make sure I did the math right before I say it out loud. Yes. From 18 to 35, just those years of just, that's my adulthood. That's my entire adulthood right there. Being a mom, I became a mom at 20. And just walking through being an adult woman and not knowing what I'm good at. I remember so many times being like, everybody has things they're good at. Like, I'm not good at anything. And it was because I wasn't who I was supposed to be.
Wow.
I was never going to be able to find purpose. I was never going to be able to find strengths. The enemy only highlights our weaknesses. And when we're living in captivity, in the life that we're not supposed to be living in, that's all we see. So I really urge women who find themselves in this place of self-loathing, of questioning, of comparison, and just these unhealthy behaviors, really ask yourself, are you living your life that God gave you, or are you living a counterfeit life that you created? Because oftentimes, I don't know of a time that I could have said I was walking in the way that the Lord had for me when I felt those things, because as soon as I made that shift, I've not felt those things ever again. I've known for sure, blessed assurance of what my purpose is, who I am, and who I was called to be. So
it's possible.
Yes, it is 100% possible. Yeah. And it's intentional work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Girl. So good. Because like, I know there's women that stay stuck in captivity, and they just don't know how to get out. And I know you're saying it is a process. Like, what would you tell them? I mean, you've walked through so much. Like, girl, you walked through so much. How did you start to like forgive yourself for things? How did you start to heal? How did you, like, what was that starting point? Like, what would you tell this next woman to do if she's just where you were, like down, like, I don't even know like what to do?
Yeah. I think the first thing to help would be to identify how it started for me. I lost my grandmother in March of this year, and she had dementia. And during my adult life, I was a dementia care practitioner. I'd been in dementia care my whole career. My mom's in it. And I love my mom dearly, and she knows this, but I really was just living a life for her to approve of me, and for my grandmother to approve of me. And it was just because of, I know now, it was just because of the iniquities that we have as a family, just things that are on our generation or in our bloodline, just ways the enemy attacks us. Yeah. And the way he attacked my grandmother's the way he attacked my mom, which is the way he attacks me. And I just have always known that I was called to break the cycle. And I knew that as a child even. And when I was living in the world, it felt more condemnation towards my mom, and it felt more condemnation towards my grandmother. And now walking in the Spirit, I see them. We talk about how God sees us. When we walk and abide in Him, we see others the way He sees them. And I see my mom so differently now. I love her so differently now. And the same with my grandmother. And like when we knew we were going to lose my grandmother, we had already kind of been losing her in pieces. But when we knew she was going to go, I was actually in the middle of a huge transition. There was some sexual immorality going on in the company that I was working for, and it was directly affecting me. And I was 100% living in the world, but in January, I very clearly heard the Lord say I had to get out. And this was a company I was actively moving to the top in, and had the influence and the ability and the opportunity to get where I had always been trying to get for another company. And He just made it very clear I had to leave. Wow. And it was very hard. It was even hard for my family, because as a single mom, I've been a single mom now for almost 5 years. It was scary for my parents to think that I was going to step out of the source, right? Yeah. And I think that a lot of people can relate to this, but as soon as I did that, I knew that's what I was supposed to do. No backup plan, turned in my notice, was walking through that notice. I met this lady who had started her own business and wanted me to join her. I just immediately was like, God, you're so good. I mean, I'm like praising Him in my car. I'm praying, like, I'm not praying about it. I'm praying for it. And oftentimes I think that we have plans and desires and dreams, even ones that we just make up on the spur of a moment, and we ask God to bless them. Yeah. We never ask God, is it His? was it his intention for me to begin with? And I never did that. And to be honest, in those 17 years, I didn't. I always just asked him for the blessing after the fact. I never, even in my marriage, it was always after the fact that I came back and was like, I really like this guy. Can you bless this marriage? Like, I really want to marry this man. Can you bless it? And then we'd go to church. It was like we always work after the fact. And that was definitely the pattern that I was in. And when I was losing my grandmother, I spent the time with her. I said the things I needed to say to her. I did all of these things, but the grief just hit me harder than I could have ever imagined. I knew it was going to be hard to lose her because she was such a vital part of my upbringing. And I just never accounted for what it was going to be like. And it was so hard. And so the months after losing her, I just was unraveling. And I started this business with this lady. She ended up being like a complete con artist, had done all these crooked things. It was just really wild. And it just became this very obvious moment of like, I have really messed up. Like, I don't even know what to do anymore. I don't know how to get to the next day. I don't know. I've never been like a negative person by disposition. I've always just had a really positive disposition. And some of my friends would tell you it's probably to a fault that I just wear rose-colored glasses all the time and see things differently than the way that they actually are. But I was really, really struggling and really trying to figure out what is going on. And it was like the end of May. This is funny, but I just randomly decided that I wanted to vow to be celibate. And I have one of my best friends, and she was at my house, and I remember the Lord being very, very clearly speaking to me. If you think you're going to do this, tell Lauren. Tell your friend. Like, and I'm sitting there like, are you freaking serious? Because Lauren's very different from me, and she's very she will tell me exactly what she thinks right then and there, and he knew that would be a test of if I was going to do it or not, because Lauren and I also had a pact when we first became friends that we would never lie to each other. And it was so funny when she said that to me, because no one had ever said that before. And I can go back and know now that was even the Lord then exposing an iniquity to me. And so we didn't, and there would be times that Lauren would ask me something and I'd be like, I can't answer that. I'm not going to answer that because I'm going to lie to you if I answer it. And I don't want to tell you the truth. So that day he did that. And then, he's already forgiven me. But 6 days later, I fell into sin. And after that happened, I immediately went to the hospital, and I was completely broken. And there in the hospital, the doctor kind of examined my stomach. We thought I had a bowel obstruction. My grandmother had colon cancer. So we just were really trying to figure out what was going on with me. My kids had to call 911. I was like just really, really in a bad way. And I had no idea what it was. And they brought our scans out. It was me and my mom. It was like 1:00 in the morning. And they brought the scans out. And this doctor is so serious. And I feel so bad for her. But like, she is like, ma'am, like staging an intervention. And she's like, you are completely empty. She said, your stomach and your intestines have nothing in them. Like, I don't ever see this. You are empty. And I remember sitting in that hospital, and she's clearly like having this like eating disorder intervention for me. And the whole time I'm sitting in this hospital bed, I'm like, excuse me? Like, I'm like very advanced stages of dehydration and starvation, like on the brink of death, really. And it took several days to kind of build back up the ability to eat, to withhold anything, because I'd gotten to a point where I couldn't drink. I couldn't even chew gum without throwing up. My body was just rejecting everything. And I remember a few days after that, I was just, this is the point that I want women to take note of the most, is I was not even actively surrendering. I had no choice but to surrender. I literally had nothing on reserve, nothing at all. And I think the part that maybe could have been missed was I did know the Lord well enough to know that something was happening, and lean into it at least a little bit. And I didn't watch any television for like 3 months. All I listened to was worship music. To this day, I haven't listened to any secular music since then. Just really being careful. And I really wasn't even on my phone. And it was more a matter of just, I had nothing. I had no bandwidth whatsoever. And it was during those moments that kind of overflowed when we met, of just days. And I mean, I literally went weeks where I was only sleeping 2 or 3 hours at night. He was keeping me up all night. I mean, my journal here, I will keep forever from just the things that he told me, that he talked to me about in that time. And I remember when that happened, him telling me, Anna, I had to do something physical for you to realize that this is spiritual. You are dying spiritually, and I called you, and you gave me your yes. Where are you? You know, there are people out there who are waiting on you, and you are delaying their salvation. You are delaying their obedience, and your sin is leading others into sin. And he just immediately transformed me into realizing that the flip side of that coin is my obedience will lead others into salvation and restoration and sanctification that I have received. And the beautiful thing about it is the first ones that he did that with are my children. I mean, he saved my children this summer, all 4 of us, all at the same time. I mean, it's been crazy.
That part, like, that was so drawing, because it's like only a move of God. And then also just the woman that you were starting to become, just like how it's just, that surrendering does take so much humility. And I mean, you're saying like you didn't really have any other like choice, like that was it, but immediate fruit. I mean, I'm sure that just brings you so much joy and fulfillment. Like that is, I'm sure, the goal with your kids is for them to seek the Lord. And so that part right there is just, it made my jaw drop, because I'm like, wow, like that is a miracle story. Like that's not, it doesn't really happen.
No, it doesn't. It's normally a long time. And they increase my faith every day. I mean, my oldest daughter, she's 15, and she was already walking in the generational curses and the curses on our bloodline. She had already been in an abusive relationship, had already been taken advantage of. I mean, there was just already so much. I mean, she sat in shame every single day, and I put her in a and really and truly, that's probably part of what led to mine as well, is I put her in a Christian leadership program at our church, and she went to the retreat at the beginning of the summer and came home and was like, Mom, I met Christ. Like, I'm changed. I'm different. Like a moment. And when I talk about a stone wall, like she was mean little girl. And but we are walking through freedom together now. Cool. And it's a beautiful thing when it's full humility. I can't take any credit for it, but there is a level of obedience that happened there, because I think I've shared this with you before, but I can go back and look at other times during the 17 years where God was trying to do what he did this summer, and I just didn't walk there. And there was a part this summer where it was almost like he showed me so clearly, this right here, this is where you normally turn around. This is the place I normally can get you here, but you're about to walk into deeper waters right now. And it's going to require faith. It's going to require more faith. And it's during this summer that he built my intercessors. It's you, it's the Michaelas, it's the people that I have in my corner that I can call and say, hey, I just got an eviction notice. Because the funny thing is he was pulled me out of my career. I mean, my business immediately stopped flourishing. It was just, everything was so vitally clear. It was all so...
It's crazy.
It was insane. Yeah. And all of these different things that came up and happened, and how he has provided. But you know, it reminded me, and we talked about this, but the story of Jairus, when he, you know, he went to Christ and he was like, I need you to come heal my daughter. She's dying. And he was praying for healing, but Christ was coming for a resurrection. You know, he was coming to raise her. And he knew that that delay was going to produce even more faith in Jairus and the families and the 3 or 4 disciples that were there to witness it. So, and that's exactly what he did in me. He delayed a lot of the things that I was praying for. I did one of my first and strongest fasts over the summer. Had never really done that before, and really just leaned into what it means to abide and learn that, you know, when we talk about all of these things, when we have a foundation of faith and being raised in church, I think a lot of people can relate to this, that we hear a lot of things a lot of times, and we don't realize the weight of what we're saying. And to really be able to recognize that he is my shelter, he is my hiding place, that I can go to him and ask him something and he will give me an actual answer. And learning that over the summer produced, not just for me, but for my children, an example, right? A true testimony of what he will do when you surrender. And I have a friend right now that is going through so much, and it's so hard to get them to understand what surrender looks like. And it really does look like letting go of literally everything, because it's our sin that keeps us in captivity. It's our sin that holds us in bondage, and we just have to be willing to let go of it.
It's just, there's so much. One thing that continues to come back to my mind based just from your story is just how one of your turning points, or what started your surrender, is like you were so empty. Like that, because that language too is just symbolic. And I don't know, I just keep coming back to that. I mean, it's just, God is so intentional, and like, girl, the stripping. The stripping is crazy.
It's like I love purses, and it's literally like when you just take it out and you just get it clean, you reline it. You know, when they do those like repurposed Louis Vuittons and they like put new lining in it and all this different stuff. It literally was like that, but I know that he did it in that way because I don't feel like I've ever been married before. I don't feel like I've ever been taken advantage of before. Like, I don't feel those things anymore. I don't feel like when I find the person he's prepared for me, they are getting who I was supposed to be. And sorry, Richard and Jermaine didn't. Like, they didn't. And so I don't feel like I'm coming into anything, no matter what it is. Anything that I walk into now in this life it's new. I mean, I literally feel like I'm starting back from 18. But one thing we talked about over the weekend when we walked through some deliverance together, and they talked about when you're taken advantage of, and I can't wait for us to dive into this with some of our women and heal her, is just, you get stuck. There's a part of your soul that gets stuck in the time of your manipulation, your abuse, or whatever it is. And I know that that's exactly, it was almost like my life froze in time. And then these 17 years were just like, I don't even know. They were just this weird place, but absolutely nothing has been wasted. He has now reformed every bit of it and brought beauty from the ashes of every bit of that. And it's so funny because my 7-year-old Ava has always been the most timid, anxious, just, I don't even know. She's very rare. But when she was baptized, on July the 8th, she literally couldn't even, like, Garrett baptized her and he had to ask everybody to leave because she was having such a reaction to having so many. And you know her now, you know her, you know Ava now. But the Ava before, like, he literally had to clear out the lobby and ask everyone to leave. She was third in line and then ended up being in the back, and it was Baptize America Day. So there's a lot of people getting baptized that day. And it ended up being the day that Marley got baptized later in the afternoon. But she would not go up there. But Garrett could tell. And I just kept praying, like, Lord, give her the strength, because this is a moment she needs. Like, she needs to know that you will strengthen her. She does not need to walk in this fear that she's had all of her little 7 years of life. And she got saved when my grandmother passed. It was that experience that showed her, like, I want to get to heaven. I want to see Annie again one day. And it was a very surface level salvation, like it normally is with young girls or young kids. But then when the day she was baptized, even Garrett walking in obedience, right? To be able to be in tune to the Spirit, to know, no, this little girl needs this. So I'm going to do what she needs and remove the barrier and allow her to truly be washed in the Spirit. And she's a totally different child now.
Wow.
She has zero anxiety. She has, I mean, it's almost weird. It's almost me having to relearn how to parent her, because she's a completely different person. And she's bold and she's excited all the time and she's happy all the time, whereas she was so emotional before and so timid. And so it's increased my faith to watch the transformation of my kids.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I've just been feeling the Holy Spirit, like, throughout our entire conversation. Like, it's just such a testament to how your obedience leads to other people's obedience and yeses and breakthroughs.
Yeah.
And what a gift. Like, what a gift that you guys spent this summer all, like, together. Like, when you sent me the video of the prayer room, you guys going there, I'm just like, so cute. Like, Barbie dream house.
Yeah.
Like, for the Lord. Like, it was just incredible how God has redeemed you. How you said, I mean, that's so big. There's women out there that want to forget who they were before, but they, feel stuck in it. And so you're just a testament to say it is possible. And I'm so excited to have you on board for Heal Her. Like, you're going to impact so many women. Like, as you're speaking, I'm just like, I know you said you love speaking, but girl, your voice is it's one of power. And it's like this, it's like strength and like soft strength or like gentle strength. It's so cool. I'm just like listening. It's so powerful. So thank you for sharing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah. So thank you so much for just being so real and sharing your testimony, because I know it's going to help so many women. Now, if you want to come hang out with us, we have our launch party happening September 14th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. There's a link to register in the description below.
Yeah, and if you've walked through anything like this, we're going to have a live Q&A afterwards. So if you have questions, we're going to also have a time where Dani's going to share her testimony in a video as well. So if you have questions, we would love to answer them. We would love to talk to you about what restoration can look like in your life, depending on what you are walking through. And we are just so excited to go on this journey with you. We're praying for you, and we can't wait to see you again.
Yes. Cool.
Yay!